Our first lesson is from Luke chapter 1, verses 26 to 35, on page 1210 on your audio key Bible. In the 6th month, the angel Gabriel was sent by God to a town in Galilee called Nazareth, to a Virginia engaged to a man whose name was Joseph of the house of David. The virgin name was Mary, and he came to her and said, "Greetings, favored one, the Lord is with you." But she was much perplexed by his word and pondered what sort of greeting this might be. The angel said to her, "Do not be afraid, Mary, for you have found favor with God, and now you will conceive in your womb and bear a son, and you will name him Jesus. He will be great and will be called the Son of the Most High, and the Lord God will give to him the throne of his ancestor David. He will reign over the house of Jacob forever, and of the kingdom there will be no end." Mary said to the angel, "How can this be, since I am a virgin?" The angel said to her, "The Holy Spirit will come down and come up on you, and the power of the Most Highest will overshadow you. Therefore, the child to be born will be holy. He will be called Son of God." This is the word of God. Thanks be to God. Join me in singing our prayer of illumination. Come now, Prince of Peace. We are singing the full hymn. Thank you.
Reconcile your people. Come now, O God of love, make us one body. Come, O Lord Jesus, reconcile your people. Come now and set us free. O God, our Savior, come, O Lord Jesus, reconcile our nations. O Lord, unity, make us one body. O Lord Jesus, reconcile our nations.
For a day, and the sermon is called "In Our Wildest Dreams." Pat, was there a time, I wonder? Was there a time, I wonder, when you would not have imagined reading in the front of a group like this Isaiah, a dream, if you will, a vision that he saw, chapter 35, verses 1 through 10. You can find it on page 1111 in your Pew Bible. The wilderness and the dry land shall be glad. The desert shall rejoice and blossom like the crocus, it shall blossom abundantly, and rejoice with joy and singing. The glory of Lebanon shall be given to it, the majesty of Carmel and Sharon. They will see the glory of the Lord, the majesty of our God. Strengthen the weak hands, and make firm the feeble knees. Say to those who are of a fearful heart, be strong, do not fear, here is your God. He will come with vengeance, with terrible recompense. He will come and save you. Then the eyes of the blind shall be opened, and the ears of the deaf unstopped, and the lame shall leap like a deer, and the tongues of the speechless sing for joy. For waters shall break forth in the wilderness, and streams in the desert. The burning sand shall become a pool, and the thirsty ground springs of water. The haunt of jackals shall become a swamp. The grass shall become reeds and rushes. A highway shall be there, and it shall be called the Holy Way. The unclean shall not travel on it, but it shall be for God's people. No traveler, not even fools, shall go astray. No lion shall be there, nor shall any ravenous beast come up on it. They shall not be found there, but the redeemed shall walk there. And the ransomed of the Lord shall return, and come to Zion with singing. Everlasting joy shall be upon their heads. They will obtain joy and gladness, and sorrow and sighing shall flee away. Friends, this is the word of God.
Praise be to God.
When I was a little kid, I used to have this recurring dream that I was traveling through this series of underground caves with a group of other children, sometimes people from school or church that I knew, sometimes not. You know how dreams work. And all of the puppets from Fraggle Rock. We were trying to escape from some evil foe. I always woke up before we found out exactly who was chasing us. Now, the puppets, of course, weren't real. I knew that. They were just characters from a TV show. But in my dream, they could walk and talk independently, and no one thought it was strange at all that they were just a part of our quest. While we're dreaming, we accept the strangenesses, no problem, right? But as soon as we wake up in the middle of the night, even before we fully really come to, while the dregs of these visions are hanging on, we often find ourselves asking, along with Mary, how can this be? Dreams, by definition, at least the kind that we have while we're sleeping, aren't composed to make sense. Depending on which theory you like, they're the random firings of the nerve endings in our brains, or floating unsettled ideas from our unconscious, or ways to work out the feelings that linger once the day is done. But they're always, without a doubt, unbelievable. What is kind of strange, then, considering our experience of dreaming while we're asleep, is the other definition that our language, our culture has for dreams. Merriam-Webster defines dreams first as a series of thoughts, images, and sensations occurring in a person's mind during sleep. And second, as a cherished aspiration, ambition, ideal, or hope. Different from the kinds of dreams we have while we're asleep, the dreams that are our cherished ambitions, aspirations, or hopes are mostly things that are possible or believable, or usually kind of make sense. They may feel somehow unattainable if perhaps removed from us by time or money, a family who dreams of sending a child to college, or a person who dreams of owning a home. Rarely, though, I think, do the dreams that we hold dear cause anyone else to respond, how can that be? And I wonder what that says about our dreams. I wonder if our dreams are too small. Isaiah's vision that we heard today is another kind of dream. It's God's dream. God's cherished ambitions, aspirations, and hopes for us.
In verse 4 we read, "Say to those who are of a fearful heart, God will come and save you." When we hear this wording today, God will save you, when we speak of salvation, we think perhaps of a prayer prayed asking Jesus into our heart. We think of an afterlife in heaven. We've made the language of salvation so small, so easily defined. Isaiah goes on to articulate God's vision of salvation. It's not a prayer prayed once for a future prize. It's a full-fledged dream for all of creation. That, if we really took it seriously, might cause us to respond. How can this be? God's dream. People will be healed in their bodies and in their souls. Sorrow and sighing will flee away. In God's dream, the most parched, dry, life-threatening parts of our world will become lush, full of water, full of the things that are necessary to sustain life. The desert shall rejoice and blossom, and not just with a cactus flower here or there, but abundantly. The dry, parched places of our souls, of our lives, God dreams will become verdant, abundantly full of life. The desperate, thirsty longings of our hearts will become springs of water, sources of hope and vitality. There will be no danger there, no judgment, because even the fools will not go astray. We won't have to worry about threats. We won't have to be suspicious of each other because no ravenous beast lives there. God's dream for us, for our salvation, is so full of life, of healing and hope, of ability and community. This dream is so big, so much bigger than what we have been taught to dream of. How can this be? This Advent season, as we await the birth of a baby, of God taking on human flesh, of the impossible incarnation, God is longing for us to dream. But even despite our desire to be practical people, there are just so many things that get in our way of dreaming. We're tired, we're busy, we're so focused on achieving our dreams, our aspirations and hopes, that we don't have time to fool around with God's dreams, with these unimaginable visions. Healing would take work. It's hard to do. Peace building takes patience and understanding. Mercy and forgiveness, we'll take them for ourselves all day long, but giving them out to others makes us uneasy. Much easier to focus on that promotion or savings account or the next step toward the small dreams that we've learned to hold dear. No, we certainly are not used to dreaming God's dreams. They sound nice, right? They might be for later. But to actually dream them now as something possible for our lives together, for our world, that's just not how it is. That's right. It's not how it is. But God's dream for us is how it can be. That's the whole thing about a dream, about God's dreams for us. They can be reality. The healing that we hope for is possible. The joy we seek is right there. The forgiveness and mercy we crave are waiting. The peace and comfort that are so fleeting in our world are abundant in the dreams of God. Friends, if I believe anything, I believe this with all my heart. The dreams that God has for us, for all of God's children in the whole world, are possible. They're not just the disordered firings of slumbering synapses, but the truest callings in each of our hearts. Sometimes I think the thing that holds us back in our relationship with God or in our expression of our faith, it's not that we don't know enough Bible verses or that we aren't comfortable praying out loud. It's that we have forgotten how to dream. Before we are a moral authority or an organized religion, as Christians, we are people who believe that what is impossible by every standard of this world is indeed possible. that God became flesh and dwelt among us and overcame sin and death once and for all. That is our truest identity. And right now, especially, our communities, our nation, our world need us to be the ones who can imagine that another way is possible. We talked last week about a covenant that we might all sign together. Some things we would agree to as a church to commit to each other. And the words of that covenant are in your bulletin again today. You'll notice that one section, one of the things I'm asking if you would commit to is dreaming. So as we think about what kind of commitment we might make to each other, this Advent season, as we busy ourselves with shopping for gifts for the people that we love, maybe this could also be our gift to one another and to ourselves, to dream. To listen for the callings that God dreams for us deep inside our hearts. To imagine that we might be healed or empowered and set free for abundant living. To step into God's dream of peace and wholeness for all people. And to believe that all of it is possible. Friends, may our hopes grow bigger. May our visions expand, and may our wildest dreams become even wilder.